fact that Kirk chose you, it means something very significant. It means that perhaps Kirk is expanding that influence into other spheres, which means that he isn't what, or she, or it, what one group is trying to make it out to be. It's bigger than that. And that's kind of something I've always known. This movement is bigger than just what people were saying. It isn't just about white men or the outright. There's something society is speaking. It wants changes, and it's not just going to use one group to do it. If you want me to be clear, and I don't want to be all weird, Kirk noticed and answered. Now, what is Kirk? I don't know. Could just be kind of a social metaphysical entity, and it saw and it said, "Do it."
Kirk knows who I am.
Absolutely.
The truth in front of us does not match the truth out there. As a cop-out, we turn the truth over to the mob instead of deeply inquiring and discovering. Nuance is lost when we receive this type of information. We are memetically spectating at a rate never before possible. New cultures and myths and stories are forming faster than ever in history. Our grasp on a common story and mythos is weak and slippery. How do we make sense of things when we collapse the infinite fidelity of information down into pithy sentences laid over ominous imagery? In my search to find someone who could make sense of this chaos, I stumbled upon Kirk Packwood, a writer and anthropologist who broadly defined the world of memetic magic.
I want to know if it's okay with you, but last time I didn't record anything, and so this time I wanted to record our conversation.
That's totally fine.
Okay. Tell me in your words what meme magic is.
Meme magic it's like you got these meme magicians or these social engineers, might be a more official way to put it, looking at society and culture to find these spots that are weak, like these leverage points where you can basically inject a meme into culture, and if you put it in the right place, it'll spread rapidly, like through the media or through information systems, become popular and become a norm. And if something does that, then it will alter people's perceptions and behaviors. At a mass level, you're going to have a certain percentage of the population that are going to be influenced by these memes. Now, at another level, meme magic is literally the influx of spiritual power into human group societal interactions. It's literally using sorcerous techniques to bring down spiritual power that is focused on influencing and transforming society.
Kirk Packwood wrote the book Memetic Magic, Manipulation of the Root Social Matrix in 2004. Since he published his book, the ideas and images have gained traction on the various chans of the internet. Unbeknownst to him, the memetic contagion tactics that Kirk described and defined seem to most appeal to an intersection of online chaos magicians and the alt-right. His book has been credited by various online sources as their guidebook to using meme magic.
Was the book taken out of context? Not really. I mean, it was kind of like a prototype of what I was seeing in terms of changes in the world and what might happen in the future, particularly as technology continued to advance in the direction it was moving, and it's still moving in that direction. It's not like I thought it could be done, because this was 2004. I just thought in the future, some people might be able to figure this out. And what I was really surprised was that a bunch of people figured it out.
I'm looking for, like, what is it? What the fuck is it? What is magic? What even is it? Nobody knows. So what is it? So I keep looking, you know. Maybe it's memes. I mean, that's the thing. I keep saying it because lately, if I make a meme, it happens.
While living in Los Angeles, I met Billy Brujo. He was a YouTuber who was very active in the chaos magic community. I found him online, actually, while I was researching how the sigil work that is fundamental in chaos magic was key in the development of meme magic on 4chan and Facebook. Coincidentally, Billy was already familiar with Kirk and his book. He frequently spoke of the importance of Kirk's book to the early meme magicians at the turn of the 21st century.
We're trying to still be scientific. We're trying to still say that, like, the old ways are not the best ways, and but if we maybe look at a sampling of the old ways, then we can see some theme, and we can figure out how to apply this to, like, make a magic that works. Kirk's book inspired me.
You know, how did you feel about the alt-right using Kirk's book and Kirk's work as foundational text to...
Oh, did they actually quote it?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Uh-huh. And that's why he published in 2004 and then took it off the market in 2006 because he noticed that the majority of people who were consuming the work were actually not the people that he intended the work to be consumed by, and therefore became overwhelmed with guilt.
This is a sad thing, you know. He did write the book about meme magic, and then Meme Magic is Real became a rallying cry. But is it his fault? I mean, are you gonna blame J.D. Salinger, you know, for the death of John Lennon?
Hurry!
Way back when I read Kirk's book, and, like, memes weren't even much of a thing yet. I mean, that was way back when. That was the golden age of memes, and he had written it years before. Like, memes were this whole, like, hieroglyphic language of, like, the advice animals is a good example, because it's like they had the advice mallard, and they had the insanity wolf, and the whatever, bad luck Brian, good guy Greg, good girl Gina, all of that, you know. It was like, it's the same joke every time, but because the caption is different, it's different, but it still overall has the same flavor, same sort of meaning. So almost like the tarot cards, it's like each one of these images that we recaption, it has a meaning, and we all agree on this meaning unspokenly, but a meme is only as good as its relevance.
Pepe the Frog began as a character in Matt Fury's comic series, Boys Club, in 2005. He was presented as the archetypal slacker, who didn't really care about much. Although Pepe remained relatively dormant, over the next several years, he came into his own as the face of the anonymous online poster. His image started regularly appearing on 4chan in 2010, and soon became the unofficial mascot of the popular board Politically Incorrect, or POL. Pole became one of the few places where the young and disgruntled gather to talk about the things you can't talk about in polite society. Some genuinely felt like this was their only venue to express themselves, and some were merely edgelords. Pole is the site's attempt at a politics board, but, like many spaces on 4chan, anonymity has bred a space for extremist and fringe ideas. Throughout the year preceding the 2016 election in the United States, the representation of Pepe as the everyman on the internet came to signify much more for the people who wielded his image. As demonstrated by the policing of morality in Victorian England and during Prohibition in the United States, the more you repress something, the more desperately people want to do it. Online cancel culture has that same effect in today's America. Most people forced into this environment will end up longing for a place where they can say absolutely anything. The Chans offer them that freedom.
I drew a frog magician on the bottom of Memetic Magic cover, and it isn't just that it's on the cover. I mean, you'd have to have my perspective on the world and understand all that we've talked about to know why I believe that. But it isn't just that. This was also the first book about meme magic. That's a huge coincidence. It isn't just any book.
Pepe really was a casualty, if anything, because I don't think that Pepe was meant to be involved. It's just that it all happened on 4chan, and at the time, Pepe was the face of the anonymous poster. And everybody had a Pepe meme, and anytime that you didn't know what else to have an image of with your post, you would post to Pepe. So it just turned out that when whoever started looking, all these anti-Hillary posts, all these pro-Trump posts were all Pepe, just because Pepe was the only meme that was like left.
Because you're in an environment where people can't get at you, usually in any way, they can't find out who you are, where you live, or anything like that. It allows different aspects of people's personalities to come out that are unchecked by traditional social and cultural power structures. You can express those authoritarian type tendencies out of your personality much easier on the internet than you can in person.
Yeah, power is in interpretation, not in narrative. He said it used to be that every village had an idiot and it didn't matter because they knew who the idiot was.
Right.
Now the idiots are banded together on the internet to legitimize idiocy. And the problem is that the more you connect things, the more they tend to pervert clusters. I mean, this myth that the internet opens people up to new ideas, it doesn't. It actually allows them to close down.
And that's actually what I've been talking to. You're friends with him, right?
And,
yeah.
Yeah.
About that phenomenon that the right called meme magic, or memetic magic, with the Pepe and the Keck, and they created that whole mythos surrounding him.
Yeah, I prefer the word trope to meme.
Why?
The idea is a single narrative where we can change the narrative. What you're talking is about a trope or an assemblage of thousands of related but coherent narratives. Yeah. So the meme concept is the wrong metaphor, I think. But I think you have to believe that things can change, and you have to believe that you can do things for it. And if you're not prepared to go and do something about that, then you're a lotus eater.
Right.
And most of the people I know on the left these days are lotus eating. They're working within their own self-referential groups. I think part of the problem was neoliberalism homogenized the Democratic and Republican parties. Now, once you get homogenization of what was previously a choice, then that leaves room for extremists. I mean, that's what happened in the Weimar as well. there was no real political choice. So people started to go to the extremes.
Right.
And then, of course, the most energy efficient extremist wins, and that was Hitler, and it was Trump.
Pole is a place of irreverence and chaos. So when Donald Trump came onto the political scene in 2015, his brash antics and rejection of the establishment fit the mold for them. He embodied their frustration with the status quo, and he quickly became Pole's candidate of choice. Memes blending Trump and Pepe's likeness were blossoming all over the chans and spreading out into the internet. Simultaneously, the slang term LOL fell out of favor. In its place, a new term of synonymous meaning rose to common use, Kek. Kek also happens to be a frog-headed god. He is the deification of the primordial concept of darkness in ancient Egyptian religion. As a symbol of darkness, Kek also represented obscurity and the unknown, chaos. Kek was also known as the bringer in of light. And who else at that point had been declared a bringer of light into the world by zealous supporters? Trump. The users felt like something was actually happening. Something monumental was being fertilized by their shitposting. They rallied behind Kek and in turn deified Pepe. Their solidarity became known as the Cult of Kek. How could Kek become so powerful? The answer lies in chaos magic. Flushed with excitement over the synchronicities involving their campaign for a Trump-Pepe ticket, the chaos magicians of Pole hurled themselves even further into the cause, leveling up in this new simulation. One of the core tenets of chaos magic is the creation of magic sigils to codify and project one's will into the universe. Create an image that represents your will and/or desire, focus on it, believe in it, and then the universe will work on your behalf. The philosophy behind chaos magic relies on spontaneous devout belief and then a suspension of that belief. The suspension, or detachment, was demonstrated with irony by many of the posters who spread these memes. Most people on these forums only satirically believed that Donald Trump was chosen by the ancient Egyptian deity Kek. Chaos magic tears down the idea that dogma and strict doctrine are the only paths to your desire. But the line between belief and glibness can be blurred when there's an underlying mixture of desperation for change and a general sense of alienation. So without many other social options, this large group of people on the chans focused their united desire towards a single sigil, turning it into a hypersigil, which amplified its effectiveness. Pepe/Kek is 4chan's hypersigil.
I still think often when I talk about memes with people, they just think of like funny internet pictures, and I'll have to be like, no, I'm talking about like ideas, and kind of expand it beyond that. But I think it's powerful, and I think the new information infrastructure allows the spread of memes, even including like funny pictures, right? You can like take a picture of a dude with a hat, and all of a sudden he's like scumbag Steve, and this is like this thing that's applied to everything. But it's even more powerful with ideas about politics and culture and more like substantive things. And it's a primary weapon of the current like insurgency, the Trump insurgency.
I met Dave in Los Angeles at the beginning of my research. He was my best friend's roommate, and I got to know him through heated discussions in their living room.
I definitely thought Trump was Hitler-ish when I voted, because I posted the status on Facebook, a picture of my I voted sticker, and said, go fuck yourself, Donald Trump, right? So like I'm virtue signaling, but I believed it wasn't like just a virtue move. So that was election day, but I feel like it was like a month, because shortly after that I read the situational assessment, and it kind of clicked things, and then I was like, oh shit. So definitely by, the election was what, November? Yeah, I think like by the end of October, or October, November.
December.
By the end of December, I was probably at least like questioning, right? It's like coming out, you know? First you have to come out to yourself. I came out to myself as like, oh, I'm like pro-Trump maybe. And then it's like baby steps to do it like more publicly. There's a matrix, and Fox News is part of the matrix as much as MSNBC. And you can get outside of it, and there's a lot of interesting stuff happening outside of the matrix. You just need someone to offer you a red pill that like fits your worldview.
So some of these people really believe in the magic. Now, a lot of them, a lot more, really believe in the propaganda. But at the bottom of that, there's something very real. And it's the way Kirk expresses itself and the way Kirk transmits itself is through jokes. Because jokes, funny stuff, is how memes bypass, one way memes bypass your mental defenses. What the joke does is it lets you accept the idea, hold it in your mind, maybe store it till a time you can understand it, but then you pass it. Again, you say the joke to another person. That's one of the reasons. The other reason is Kirk is a troll god.
Laughter somehow makes stuff happen. And whether it's because the banishing thing, whether it's because it gets your mind off of it, or whether it's because laughing has some kind of invigorating energy, you know, or maybe it's because when you're laughing, you're literally having like an insanity, you know, temporary insanity. I'm not sure. But yeah, there's something about laughter. And I don't think that the left laughs enough.
It's a parody hidden within a joke, within a parody hidden within a joke. But underneath, there's something very real and something very, unfortunately, very dark. But there seems to be a light side to it, too.
It's just mass hysteria. You know, you post something and it might not even be magic. It's just that lately, because of targeted ads and browsers and apps reading all your posts so that they can decide what ads to send you, you know, you make a post about something and then suddenly all of your friends are posting about the same thing, you know, or all these ads are coming up for the same thing, and it seems like magic, but it's really like the ghost in the machine feeding it back to you. And that's really not, there's really nothing magic about that. But like amongst magic people, we're looking for that. We're looking for magic, so we find it, you know. So like we see a coincidence, and we're willing to write off that, you know, the robots are behind it. But, you know, on the other hand, there's some stuff I can't explain.
The scientific method is nothing more than doing an experiment, noting your results, and seeing if you can repeat that experiment and get the same results. So, if you're a skeptic, it doesn't hurt to try to do a magic, you know, to try and cast a spell, to try and pray to a god. Can you take a note? Can you write down in a journal what day and time you prayed to God for what? And then make a note if you got that thing. And if you got it, try it again. And if you can do it a second time, it's no longer a matter of faith. It's an experiment that has calculable results. If you can do it a third time and a fourth time, then it's a fact. That's how science is done.
While exploring this dark application of magic online, I was searching for a physical place to anchor myself. I decided to root in Las Vegas, because it was the most foreign place I could live, while still being a 5-hour drive away from my home. 1 week after moving into my condo, the Las Vegas shooting happened. Tragedy and shock. But not even a pause before people began to question the reality of the situation. This questioning community became the cross-section I invested myself in for 9 more months.
In a cultural sense, isolation really does breed a fairly significant mutation. You know, you could test out that theory yourself just by isolating yourself for a couple months from media influences, friend influences, and you'll start doing your own kind of thing, and you'll start developing your own way to dress and your own way to interact with the world. And if you were to amplify that to a whole society, you know, that's how you get the differences between our societies, is because they're isolated.
Some people say there's over 10,000 of us lightworkers, and we are here to change the entire planet, starting with Las Vegas. Las Vegas is an area that is seen out in space. You could see it from space. Everybody knows where Las Vegas is, all around the world. Even the smallest, little, tiniest villages have heard of Las Vegas. So, and then of course, just recently, we had a traumatic experience with a mass shooting on the Strip, and that, of course, has even drawn more people to look at Las Vegas. Las Vegas is interesting. There's this beautiful vortex area here, and there's also the Strip, of course, and that is a vortex too. One of these ladies at my meetup group who sees entities said that when she walked up and down the Strip, she was like terrified, because she said she's never seen such huge entities as she's seen on the Strip in Las Vegas. So
Entities meaning?
Dark spirits or what have you, you know. There's certain things that will draw these spirits into the people, and then they're being controlled. They're not in control of themselves, they're being controlled by other outside forces.
I met Carol through meetup.com. She hosts weekly meditation groups at her house, where she would gather various healers, speakers, and other figures involved in the esoteric spiritual practices.
The other thing that's really important to me is actually the science behind spirituality, and also the science. When over 2,000 architects and other major builders go into a building and analyze why it came down, like 9/11, and they're telling you there's no freaking way, at least especially the third building, there's no way that it should have ever gone down that way. Only on a Las Vegas blow-up building is going to go down like that. People do not want to think that their government could hurt them. The United States, no, but geez, we're the only country in the world that's literally doing what Hitler did, running around attacking other countries and moving in and taking over their resources and what have you. I mean, why was it terrible for Hitler to do it and not for us? I don't understand that. I know that when I make up my mind, I'm guided to an answer. I'm guided to where I'm supposed to go. I'm guided to what I'm supposed to say.
I'm already.
Yeah.
Hi.
Fine.
Okay.
Whenever you come is always great.
Yeah. Hi.
Always later is always better.
Yeah.
I'm always like 10 minutes behind. Hi, hon. You look great. So let me think what else I should tell you. I think I mentioned yesterday that there have been things that have happened in here which are very strange, like vortexes set up. And I'm going to be giving you a video so you can, if you wanted to, just show a little bit of that so that people can see something that I've never seen before.
Right.
And I've just never seen it before. I think it's pretty amazing.
It's a vortex?
Well, the fact that this cat that I had that was very psychic, anyway, I had her for 18 years. She's the one that discovered it on the stairs. And for 8 weeks, 2 hours a day, she would go around in circles, crying and scratching and looking at me, and there was nothing there.
It was a vortex.
There was actually a hyperbaric being trying to get through, and the cat was trying to protect me. Nam yo horinge kyo, nam yo horinge kyo, nam yo horinge kyo. One time, the father of my son got very mad, and he kicked my scroll, and I had warned him, don't mess with that. He kicked it on the left side, and it went flying through the air, because he was a violent person. 2 weeks later, he's walking across the street, Sunset Boulevard, but he decides to burrow his way out as soon as the light changes. And he got hit by the car on the left side. He went flying through the air and went right through the windshield of the guy's car. And then he didn't get any money because the guy had no insurance. So it's kind of a karmic thing. People come here and they're like, why am I here? Why am I? They don't understand, you know. They can't figure it out, and it's not easy here. It's really a struggle. I think that you are, you know, part of what's going to tell the world, like I was telling you. People are going to find out that there is a huge group of people changing the world right here in Las Vegas, and who would have thought that?
You don't have to ask for proof of lineage in Vegas. Logic is suspended. It thrives on claiming power and control. Power of personal agency and the illusory control over your experience of the world. Coming in second to Sedona for having the most dense concentration of light workers, or those actively involved in esoteric spiritual practices, Vegas is a repository for these belief systems. They fester here. A common goal amongst the group members is to wake the world up to the truth. I'm curious of this mission, given how many truths there seem to be. Even within their own community, there are multiple to be known. They're interested in magic to better the world, while the trolls seem to want to wield magic to sow chaos and uncertainty. I grew fond of Carol despite my knee-jerk skepticism. I find myself burrowing deeper into this place of chaos. What am I actually supposed to believe?
So I'm cooking my student.
So Carol kind of wants me to do an overview of magnicity.
Right now?
Yeah, pretty much. So I may have to ask you to stop recording for that.
Really?
I'm not, like, we were very serious about this. Like, it's not ready for, like, media consumption just yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Just because it's just so much shit I have to do.
Yeah, well, keep in mind this wouldn't be consumed by anyone for at least another year.
Okay.
It's not.
That's fine then. Yeah, that gives me enough leeway. Okay. You can record this.
Okay. You can leave out all the. You can leave out things that you don't want.
No, I'm doing this for Carol.
Yeah.
A number of reasons. So yeah. Okay, so base level can be very interesting and kind of hard to work with as a person because of the way that he thinks, and he's pretty much one of the purest shamans that is alive in this generation, from the actual Toltec tradition and in the way that you shape your thoughts to be fully within the universe and present at every single point in time. What and I have been working on specifically is a grand unified theory of physics, which is actually providing a basis and a groundwork to tie literally all of the fields together using the most simplest methods possible, and reducing everything down to just exactly what it is without any theory and without any guesswork, because everything we do is purely observable. And from this, we're pretty much creating the mathematical basis for the groundwork of the next golden age. And that's going to be like levitation, holograms, you know, tractor beams, teleportation, all these kind of crazy sci-fi concepts. We actually have a mathematical way to explain how to accomplish them with relative ease and be able to explain it to the populace without having them blow their mind up.
Ah, thank you.
Yeah. His magic's actually relatable, and he can teach you. I literally am not able to teach people how I do mine.
Okay.
Because I work macro scale as opposed to micro scale. And you literally need madness as a foundation to do it, so it's very dangerous to teach. Yeah. The enlightened people, having compassion and having enlightenment, they can look at someone dying or like atrocities being committed and be like, okay, I see that, but it's not me, and just walk on. And to the rest of society, that's like cold and callous, but to yourself, like, that's kind of how you need to operate.
They consistently just look outside. Well, you know, for a book or a teacher or yoga ceremony, they just want to practice ceremony, having their meetings or groups, like doing certain things, saying namaste, even like blessings, it's all ceremony, it's all external. How you evolve is internally. And if you aren't capable of seeing yourself and capable of looking within and using what's inside of you to understand what you perceive, you're not actually evolving or doing anything.
Nick and Mason are living at Carol's house while they work on the math behind a potential grand unifying theory of physics. They've been working together since living in Sedona, Arizona, and their next stop after Vegas is Mexico, where they will be helping someone establish his Sustainability B Corp.
What the shaman does, like when the shaman is chosen by the people, their job is healing, first and foremost, because they are the medicine person, but their other job is storytelling. And what they're meant to do is help maintain the story of the world and help tell the story of the world. That's why there needs to be multiple shamans all around the world so they can help like maintain that harmonic energetic of like the expression of the earth itself.
Like madness is like kind of an actual good thing, like a little bit, small doses. Be totally
What's your
okay with it.
definition of madness?
Pure and total free association of thought.
Yeah. That's good.
So it's when you are in like I presence and like just being, then a thought comes out and it has no structure, so it can literally freely associate to any of the other levels of like interaction and thought. If you don't know how to use it, that's pure madness. That's schizophrenia. That's right. A lot of psychological. Yeah. If you can ride that line.
Whenever you have tribes, you have shamans. So in a sense, you can see those same aggressive spokesmen for Pepe end up being that tribal shaman. Enough people will gather around their teachings and carry them forward offline. Our empathetic connections with other people get completely overwritten by the sort of memeplex that's overriding our world, and they get picked up by the ideology or the ideological vehicle. If I'm one person, I can't stop all these horrible things going on. But if I can somehow get a hold of a god or demon or spirit to work on my behalf, then I might be able to upset this power differential that keeps me powerless. Anytime you start getting into an extreme position based on something you hear or watch, it's probably not you that got there. It's probably something you picked up and is now riding you.
So one of the tropes in Wales is the English must lose. That's probably the most important thing every year. Yeah, it doesn't mean we go out and kill them on the street. You know, that's classic tribal. You know, it's fun. We sit with them in the ground. It's a game. Yeah. On the other hand, Make America Great Again has become a very dangerous trope. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because it's an exclusionary one, and this is also Deleuze's concept of an assemblage. So as people tell more stories, the stories become effectively start to cluster. People tell more stories like that. And then the stories gain an assemblage structure which is independent of the storytellers. And people can't escape it. And you can see a lot of that in the red states at the moment. Yeah? It's a fat-free environment. And this crazy thing is the blue states are fat-free as well, because it's about different types of dominant trope, and you're not allowed to speak outside it.
The abridged timeline of meme magic affecting real-world change began during the Ebola outbreaks of 2014. The public announcement of the epidemic and its ensuing panic inspired the Ebola Chan meme, an anime character with hair that looks like the Ebola virus strand. Ebola Chan first made her rounds on 4chan on August 7th, one day before the World Health Organization declared the Ebola outbreak an international public health emergency. Her image came with text threatening users with excruciating pain and death if they didn't reply on the thread with the phrase, "I love you, Ebola Chan." She spread like wildfire, and a more nefarious intention was concocted. The plan was to filter misinformation into the afflicted African countries, claiming Ebola was created by Westerners with the sole purpose of wiping Africa off the map. In countries where there are people already suspicious of scientific treatment, this memetic contagion could have been deadly. Even though many on the Chans considered her to be their small success, the desired outcome of total and enduring pandemonium didn't come to fruition. The forums continued to try their hand at internet magic. So in September 2015, a user on Poll created a post entitled, "Winter Chan Will Save Us." The idea was to create a character who would be used to summon an especially harsh winter throughout Europe. This winter created by the Winter Chan would be painful or fatal for those fleeing the Middle East. Soon, the idea was embellished upon to include Nordic runes and sigils in an effort to attach the meme to an ancient Norse deity, which in turn would increase the efficacy of the posts. While the European winter of 2015 wasn't harsher than any previous or following winter, a crucial element from this trial run was coded: the marriage between memetic image and deity. The necessary groundwork had been laid out for the Kek Wars of 2016.
The right's got its magical philosophy, and it's a little darker, and it goes into things like Satanism, left-hand path. It's a darker path. It's a path where you just do what you want to do, and if it works, and that's cool, and who cares who we hurt. The left, it's more of a like, oh, are we doing white magic? Are we doing black magic? Are we helping people? Are we hurting people? Are we concerned about what we do? On the right, it's just, how do we get that power? That's kind of what I say when I say the world is a war. I'm kind of saying in my own terms what religious people have been saying for all time. There's light and dark, and it's struggling. There's good and there's evil. To me, there's control bots and there's free people.
She'd been helping out a lot, and she said that she liked to call us light workers, and she believed we come into her, and she sent us out. So it's like when we found her, we already know, our mission in life, what we need to do, and Can
I close this?
Oh yeah. So when we come to her, we already know what we need to do to go against the evil in the world and to bring light back to it, and we just need, her word, to let us know we're on the right path and we're not alone in this whole thing, and ready to break this world up.
Sean attends Carol's meditation groups regularly and is stationed at Nellis Air Force Base right outside of Las Vegas. He's grown tired and skeptical of the military agenda and isn't afraid to let people know.
I joined the military when I was 20. I had a good friend who talked me into joining. I've been in the military for about 8.5 years now, and it's been an amazing experience. I am a cybersecurity professional in the military, so I just monitor the Air Force network, prevent hacks, cyber attacks from happening. I say Vegas is a great place to distract, people with all the lights and things that go on. And military the same way. Like, even when you feel like you're on to something or the world opening up to something, a big distraction to happen. Either, we go on a war with another country, or maybe another terrorist attack happened that we get focused on, people just get distracted. on just what's going on around the world.
And you're not convinced that these terrorist attacks are actually done by terrorists?
Yes, I'm not. So one thing about yes and no. Like some things, like I don't believe in terrorism in regards to people strapping bombs to themselves and blowing, things up. And being in the military, we take the oath to, defend the country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I believe it's also like it's a domestic enemy, among us. But people waking up to today, what's the saying? They say 85% of the people are deaf, dumb, and blind, and 10% keeping them that way, and there's 5% that are trying to wake everybody up. So it seems like that's the way it is these days.
You're in that 5%.
I think I'm part of the 5%, and I think people are waking up by the hundreds of thousands, like just every day, like like in the military and just abroad. Like people are uproaring everywhere around the world, and I believe the world was waiting on America to just to rise up.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, hey. Are you okay to film today?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay, all right, 3 p.m.?
That works, yeah.
Okay, I'll see you then.
Okay, goodbye.
So what do you need to know?
Is this your backyard?
This is my yard. Yeah, welcome. This is my garden. Nothing's growing in it.
Do you like gardening?
No, it's my mom's garden.
Mm. Does she like gardening?
Not really. I mean, take a fucking look. There's like 2 tomatoes growing over there. She's lazy.
Are you lazy?
In some ways, yeah. But online, I'm pretty productive. I need a mud. Andrew Yang is a contender, and he seems smart, and he's Asian and has high IQ. He is a Democrat, but it really doesn't even matter anymore, Republican or Democrat. I grew up, using the internet. And the meme magic began, I guess, in 2016, but I had been operating on a certain memetic level since, 2012, 2013, a long time, on the boards. What? Oh, I think she's... Oh, because we were trying to make Ruth Bader Ginsburg die. We began to see the true effects of meme magic and the memes in 2016. Before then, it had just been child's play, and we hadn't really been able to use the latent abilities, maybe. It's an ancient art, and we didn't start doing it online. The ancients were fucking doing it. I sort of don't care what's gonna happen, and I also don't know. And I also wouldn't tell you if I knew what was gonna happen.
The same way liberal elites look down on Vegas with disdain, they look down on the middle class, blue-collar workers, Trump voters. They spit onto and into their mirror image. For if accurate representation is outdated, Las Vegas isn't a funhouse mirror. It doesn't distort reality. Rather, it inverts the expectations we have of our attachment and experience of an everyday reality. It mirrors American culture insofar as it reflects the behaviors of the public. Looking down on Vegas with disdain is a common, accepted, and encouraged practice. As a physical and metaphysical place, it evokes shame, but a displaced shame that is easy to assign to anyone except yourself. A place to comfortably deride and indulge in, state-sanctioned self-deprecation. the waste bin produced alongside the consumptive boom of the 20th century. People generally gravitate towards magic when the society they live in makes them feel small. But even if you are denied access to conventional sources of power, you can still exercise power over your own consciousness. Magic then becomes the only option for those who are A, denied any other way of pursuing their goals, and B, denied earnest solutions for their economic and social woes. That's not to say that magic doesn't exist for the powerful and privileged. It does, but in a sanitized and passive package. Think The Secret, crystal healing, and mindfulness meditation. This sort of magic exists to persuade its practitioners that nothing can be wrong with the world because they're in control of their own minds, and that any remaining problems can be counted on to disappear in due time when the right policies are implemented and the right people are elected. It is a tool that helps them remain as comfortable as possible without the intrusive reality that a large portion of the population doesn't have the same tools of privilege. Liberals take their privilege of education and social status to then deride those who don't have the same ethics or morals. They attempt to cancel and silence people in order to maintain an illusion of superiority. Malleable by intent, like any tool of the mind, magic can be used to uphold a system or destroy a system. The pendulum will always swing between the extremes, and whichever culture is forced to go underground out of fear that they'll be reprimanded by the mainstream will experiment with tools of change at their disposal. With no one watching, they're left to experiment with total abandon because they feel like they have nothing left to lose. A society in the face of crisis experiences a double upsurge in magic. Among the excluded, as a way of changing things, and among the excluders as a way of hiding from the need to change things.
Yeah, I voted for Hillary because I wanted the stability of this, just this idiosyncratic desire to pretend like we know what's gonna happen. It's just not true. So am I gonna vote Trump next? I don't know. Is there gonna be somebody more destructive and disruptive than Trump? If there will be, I'll vote for them. You know, I've been speaking to some of my friends that are not my friends anymore because they just refer to these people as people from the internet, anon, just like these crazy, weird people, but they are the ones that are moving our society to where it needs to be. They are the ones that look at this and they go, what the fuck? It has to change. Things have to change. You just go through your life and everything's fine. Everything's great. You do your thing, you go to college, you meet a college sweetheart, it's so great. And then you're constantly anticipating something. You're waiting for something to come through, and you're waiting for the society to become a certain way that we're meant to become, and it never happens. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen, and things don't change. People talk about killing children, killing actual babies. What the fuck? What the actual fuck? Like, how have we gotten to this point in our society where we discuss these things? It's just, eventually you look at all of this from further away and you realize that the only way for anything to change is disruption.
Wait, so we haven't spoken about politics yet.
Right, okay.
Where do you stand politically? And I also, I am not of the belief that we shouldn't talk about politics or religion at the table. I think that is the reason why, or one of the reasons why people are unable to actually engage in tense dialogue without becoming upset or taking it personally.
Well, the thing about politics is it's very easy. I'm not going to disagree with anybody because they are not in control, so it doesn't really matter who is out there. It's those that are in control of the planet are not our politicians. The real people that are in control are behind the scenes and you can't see them, and they go way up high. There's the white pope, then there's the black pope, then there's the gray pope, and then there's the family of the people that have actually created all the religions on the planet and everything. But they work with both sides. According to my sources, Obama, he actually went to Mars with one of the friends, somebody that I interviewed that was in the secret space program, and he time travels and everything. He has time traveled. His father was in the CIA, and he was time traveling at age 5. But anyway, what kind of tea would you like, darling?
Do you have anything non-caffeinated?
Probably. Let me check things out.
I have caffeine and... I had isolated myself enough. Magic is magic. The only difference in outcome is intention. All that was left was to finally meet Kirk in person.
I'm a very underestimated person. I'm an extraordinarily underestimated person. You think, look at me, I'm just some dude. I'm just perhaps a person who's, I don't know, I don't look special. I may look a little run down or whatever. That's because of my health and because of situations. I ate a giant squid. I love them. Let me do a snap of that. When I say that, if I were to say something like, in 5 years, if I dedicated myself to it, I could turn this whole fucking country upside down ideologically. Me and a group of 5 people, I'm dead serious. I could do that. How to put it? Some people out there are extraordinarily serious about this sort of stuff. We may look unimpressive on the outside. We may be in shitty economic conditions, but we've already proven you can transform an entire country with a group of 12 people focusing on just messing around on the internet. And that's because we're not locked into the traditional ways of doing things. The ways to transform the world have changed. New opportunities have opened. Now, my role in it, spiritually, I was the one who set the framework in which this all happened. Is the frog. Is the frog and the way it manifested itself.
Okay.
It's not a joke.
Do you want to share a donut?
Yeah, sure. We'll try these out. Which you pick. I can get them for you if you want. Because you've obviously spent a lot to come up here, so what do you like? Maybe just not the powder because I don't want to get it all over myself.
Yeah. Why don't we just get one of the sprinkles?
All right, let's see. Society tells me I'm here. I think I'm real smart, and then I'm better than what society says, so I think I'm here. I'm really here, and you can't see that except through the expression of the spirituality that is evident in what happened in the Keck movement. The element of chaos is really important. It's a necessary part of everything, because without it you get stagnation. It's chaos. Like, I could do chaos, right? Everybody could. But just a stupid example. Let's say I see some woman I think is attractive out here, even if I'm not attractive anymore at all because I let myself get out of shape. If I could change the course of my and her life by just approaching her, saying, hey, how's it going? You know, you look cool, and flirting with her, trying to get her ass out. I could break those social barriers. I'm not supposed to approach her because I look like I do, and I'm not like, I don't have a ton of money, and I'm not running a business. So I'm not supposed to be able to approach certain types of women. Well, that's exactly why I would do it. That's why I do it in my 20s. It's you want to introduce this element of chaos to break down social hierarchies.
Inspired by InfoWars and the likes, the fringe theories that accompanied the 2016 election were prolific. Some may remember the many rumors filtering in about the Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton. They ranged from claims of her reptilian heritage to claims that she was hiding a serious health condition from the media and the voters. At some point, Poll focused their efforts on a single goal: to make Hillary Clinton collapse in public. There's an acronym used by practicing mages, TSW, this shit works. Used to describe the moment you finally have a first-hand experience of magic that transcends illusion. The moment your intention has an effect on the material world. The Chans went through their own TSW moment on September 11th, 2016, because 3 things happened. First, Clinton publicly denounced Pepe the Frog as a right-wing hate symbol. Then, as she left a memorial service for the World Trade Center attacks, she swayed, almost fell down, and had to be hauled into her SUV. The Chaos Magicians of Pole were shocked and had to face the potency of their collective power. Their shit worked. Millions of people that browse 4chan have embedded the image of Pepe with their hatred for Hillary and the establishment. They wanted a Trump victory. And that's exactly what happened.
We did it. We memed him into the presidency.
You memed him.
We memed him into power. We shitposted our way into the future. It's true. This is true.
The thing that the right has got going for it in terms of memes is they're like the spearhead or the vanguard of this whole, the alt-right is the vanguard of this meme magic thing. Now, it's the way to explain it, another way to look at it is, let's say we're talking about all this meme magic stuff as information warfare. If you look at it from that theoretical framework.
Like psyops.
Yeah, and it definitely is partially that.
Right. I mean, it's just propaganda.
Yeah,
basically.
but it's
one side of it.
Sure, but it's the very most modern pinnacle form, and that's kind of the point. It's like warfare in the sense that you've got to focus on the new tactics that work for a particular time and in particular circumstances. So the reason why the U.S. is so able to project so much military power, if you don't count things like nukes, is because of air superiority. Our entire military doctrine is based around setting up conditions where you can use that air power. Now, if without that air power, we're no different than any other. It's not like our ground troops are superior people to the ground troops they're fighting against. The troops they're fighting against can't even fire back because they're getting shot at by planes that are like up there. You can't even fight. It doesn't matter how good of a soldier you are, you're going to get beat. Well, this is what's going on with memes.
I remember the first Skype call we had, and you said, isolation breeds mutation.
Yeah.
And that was sort of your experience in transmitting those experiences into this world that you created.
Yeah.
Or not even created, but you tapped into.
Yeah, and the reason is because I'm not necessarily an outsider by nature. I like to be social like everybody else, but I've kind of been forced to the edges. So when I find people that see the world somewhat the same way, it's always a shock to me because most of the time people are like, you're not really seeing all that, you're just being paranoid. They don't care about you one way or another. Well, sure they do. Everybody cares about everybody, particularly if you're intelligent. I'm judging every single person that we walk by, just quickly, but so, and if you're intelligent, that's what you got to do. Yesterday I attended my mom's funeral. I've been ideologically opposed to funerals for at least 10 years. I think what's most important is how you treat a person when they're alive. I think it's less important how you treat a person after they've passed. However, respect for those who have passed is important as well. The death of my mom was a tough experience. However, I realize now that it doesn't really matter so much if it was a tough experience for me. I'm being selfish, even making the claim that the death of my mom was a tough experience. The person for whom the experience was tough was my mom.
There's a lot I could say about my mom and her passing. Most of it I'm not going to say. Even what I am going to say might be the wrong course of action. Our society and humans in general are very unforgiving of weakness, both at a conscious and a subconscious level. By expressing my feelings, I am in part demonstrating weakness. Thus, I open myself up to potential attack just by talking about my feelings and experiences. I only told my mom's brother about this and no one else because this is the sort of thing I can't even talk about with people I know. But after my mom passed for 2 days, there's real poltergeist activity apparent in our residence, particularly around me. It's not the first time I've noticed after a hugely charged emotional experience poltergeist phenomena occurring around me. I don't know why it was happening, but I think my mom was trying to communicate with me because the messages were happening to me and they're happening around me, and as far as I know, not to anyone else. Perhaps she was trying to tell me she was all right, but I'm not really sure what she was trying to tell me. I'm not really sure what the messages were, but I saw the messages, and that's been kind of a dynamic that's been going on with most of my life. I have these spiritual gifts, but nobody or nothing is telling me why I have them or what they're supposed to be used for.
They probably have like 6 or 8 good statues out there in the rain too, but they changed their star.
Why do you like the statues?
Honestly, they've got spiritual power in them at this place, and I think it channels from the plants into the statues, and it's also the arrangements. It's like an artistic arrangement if you look at this stuff. I think it all combines to make that spiritual power. And it also suggests that whoever owns this place probably has some kind of connection with that. And I know that sounds strange, but it's based on genuine observation over 15 years. So
let's say 30% of everybody that uses Kirk actually believes in the magic. And there's another 50% that thinks, wow, that was weird, but I really don't believe in magic. And that's because society has taught them not to believe in it. But they still saw it. That's why they're thinking, that was kind of weird. They won't realize that it's really real till 10, 15 years down the line when they deprogram themselves.
Whether Trump was running a con all along or has simply been ineffectual, more and more people are starting to conclude that the Trump train has badly derailed. Andrew Yang, a long-shot Democratic candidate from New York, acquired a band of enthusiastic supporters among the internet meme lords and underground influencers that provided fuel to the Trump candidacy.
Their support for him was an anomaly because of his Democratic position. But the fact that he mentioned issues affecting white people was extremely validating to shun members of the dissident right who want the interests and needs of white America to be addressed. In despair that the chance for Trump to save the republic from liberal progressiveness has failed, they concluded that America was dead and therefore should pick over the carcass. We saw memes of Pepe being showered with money by a smiling Andrew Yang. Rather than plug the holes in the sinking ship, they lit small fires on board to sink it faster.
The attempt to replicate the effects of the Keck movement with Yang failed. By the beginning of 2020, meme magic seemed like it had run its course. Any attempts at creating something like 2016 seemed facile. But what emerged was a monster. Keck has reemerged on the forums after a long dormancy.
Hello, friends, and a special hello to all the witches out there that are doing magical work to protect protesters and, hex white supremacy. A word of warning. So I mentioned in one of my videos last night that you're kidding yourself if you don't think that the other side has people doing magical work for them. I got my ass handed to me last night. So as you can see, all the candles are burning pretty well now. That doesn't really have much bearing on the spell. But when I did these two, this one was for protection, and then this one was for a call for change and road opening. Both of those, when I did the energy release and I lit the candle, they landed super well. But when I did this one, which is the hex for the guilty parties, it was like running headlong into a brick wall. I instantly got slapped with a migraine, and I woke up this morning feeling like I'd been hit by a car. whoever is doing this work for the other side, it is a group of people that are very powerful practicing magic that's very old. Be careful.
What would you see the future application of meme magic being? Or evolving into?
I kind of, in a general abstract sense, I see it eventually evolving into kind of a situation where like you'd see in sci-fi books, like at some point there's going to be much more intense forms of thought, mind control coming through propaganda and media transmission channels. It's already pretty intense.
Hey witches, let's use white supremacy and police brutality to learn a little something about magic today. So you probably see these numbers and this acronym thrown around a lot here on TikTok and other social media. But have you ever considered that these are formulas for evoking an idea?
So Trump or the government had their own witches in hand. They had their own people spiritually protecting them, whether it be practitioners, witches, or even a religion protecting them. They have something behind them. They're a strong position of power. Of course they'll have someone that will protect them.
The left has started to respond to the magicians of the right and have been using magic in their own way. The manifestation and representation of magic on the left makes sense in the context of the liberal image. Counterculture witches that adhere to the same occult aesthetic. There is no chaos. Witches on the left have also gathered online. There is a small presence on the boards that meme magic originally sprung from, but mostly we see them on Instagram and TikTok. Similar to the attempt in 2016 following Trump's election, and again in 2019 against Brett Kavanaugh, the Black Lives Matter protests gave them another chance to hex Trump and police brutality, which they did en masse for a very concentrated amount of time. There were candles burned and a choreographed call to protect those fighting in the streets and to bring the perpetrators into the light of justice. But as soon as those calls for magic came, they soon quickly went. As goes the short cycles of outrage online. Merely weeks later, the witches of TikTok or Witch Talk were calling on each other to hex the moon. Once again, divided and distracted by their drive for individuation within their milieu. Without the same level of detachment, can the left be as effective?
I can remember at 26, I went through some intense stuff then, and it took a real intense shock to really shake me out of my belief, out of my programming as a mainstream person to believe in the kind of stuff I believe in now. I mean, it took a shock, and I'm sure a lot of them went through the same sort of thing. So I think on the right, now you've got a combination of people that were drawn to it, who were already real occultists, and you've got people who've experienced enough to know that this stuff is real to some degree. It's not very controllable, but it's pretty real. And the left, I think, is starting where the right started before.
– 2016 was a shift in consciousness, and now we're seeing the consequences played out. The figurehead is no longer important. What came out of this journey was the realization that the true power laid in collective. Though with that power comes consequences, and what we've seen is that we can't be trusted either.
You have to have those warriors. I feel like I'm a warrior because I'm going to tell people the truth and I'm going to go out and make some changes. And I think everyone should. Yes, I will meditate. Yes, I will send out love and light. But I'm not going to sit on my butt and not do anything like a lot of the spiritual people do. Any spiritual people that are listening, you have to do something too. Yes, improve yourself. Send out love and light. Forgive people. Work on yourself. Imagine a perfect future. I always say I live in a beautiful, perfect world full of abundance, prosperity, peace, happiness, love, joy, love, love, love.
I guess I'll sort of put this sort of on.
was
It
interesting.
really didn't put me down that much. He was just like kind of hurt and annoyed about the abruptness of how this played out.
Let's say the truth is at level 1. I've talked to you at around level 3, occasionally rarely dip into level 2. I just can't go to level 1 with anyone, because if I do, I'm afraid you're just not going to want to associate with me, because you're going to be scared that I'm genuinely lunatic, or that you just won't believe it. You'll think I'm hyping it out. So
I believe it.
Well, it's true. And most people, I won't go below level 7.
Yeah.
I've been a level 3 and 2 with you, so you know more than anybody besides me. But even with you, I couldn't go to 1. I just couldn't do it. It's too much. And secrets like this have a very good way of hiding themselves, because as you can see how hard it is for me to talk about, even with someone who's willing to listen, and even with someone that showed support and that's believing it, I still am not doing it. The secrets hide themselves. I can't talk about it, so that's why it stays a secret.
Right.
All right.
It was good to meet you.
Have fun in Houston?
Houston, yeah.
70 degrees.
70 degrees.
Yeah,
It'll be nice.
I kind of like Texas. We'll see what you think of it.
Yeah. Well,
I will see you.
I'll see you.
Bye.
Terrible goodbyes, but goodbye.
By way of devoted practice, Pepe unified and codified a set of values yet unspoken, and has changed the instruments of influence for far longer than its own relevance. An influence that can be harnessed by anyone who wishes to. What was being learned in 2016 has now become standard practice. The Keck movement didn't just produce a meme, but a model of how to obtain power in the online century. A model that has proved infinitely mysterious and bountiful. There is a force, a magic, that is being wielded by both the right and left to tip the scales of power. The effectiveness of this power comes down to the devotion to a real, rigorous, magical practice. You cannot say it isn't real or it isn't happening, but you can share that these voices are part of a consensual reality. Unfortunately, a reality we all have to share.